led to the decision, you and Austin, to start playing Zeke a lot more 3 weeks ago. What did he do to earn that, and how do you think he's played since?
Yeah, he's just put in a ton of work. Even from a body composition standpoint, he looks different. So it's truly a credit to the kid and all the work he's done both on and off the field in terms of digesting the playbook, making sure he was sound from an assignment standpoint. He's taken enormous strides in his run defense. His pass rush has been there. Like we've seen that. But from a just run defensive perspective, he's gotten so much better. So it's truly just been a credit to the kid. Really proud of him. Has all the potential in the world, and that's why he's gotten the snaps he has.
So to those who would say, why wasn't he on the field earlier, you would say why?
Yeah, we don't play Madden, right? I can't just put them on the field and they automatically know where to go and how to play and what to do. There's some growth and maturation that needed to occur there. There's a reason we got the kid where we did, right? But we saw the potential in him. And again, truly a credit to the kid and all the work he's put in to put himself in this position.
So Bradley Chubb is the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year nominee. What have you learned about him as a person?
Wow. He is a man's man. And truly like somebody, like I have two boys, and somebody that I hope they look up to as a role model, right? Someone who's comes in every day, just puts in the work. Off the field, he does a tremendous amount of work for the youth, and we've all been that kid, right? I still remember when I was young and going to watch some of the guys from the Giants like Steve Diassi and Dave Meggets play against the teachers at my school. So just the impact he has on both the people in the building as a captain, as a leader, as a player, and then realizing that this isn't, everything he does is with purpose and impactful, and he serves. And ultimately, that's what we're all here to do.
I have a question about a play from Bradley in the game. So on the 2-point Minka pick back the other direction, he had a pass rush where it looks like he fakes a spin move back to the inside and then goes back around the corner.
Yeah.
Is that something that he sets up through the course of the game? Is he talking to you about that? Like, how does that manifest itself into the biggest moment in the game?
I have to be honest. Like I've been coached D-line, played D-line a long time. You don't see a lot of people win on fake spins. So that's one that he was absolutely setting up. Now I'll say this: when I was grading the film later that night and I saw it, I immediately texted him, and I was like, "Oh, fake spin was sweet," and he was like, "I know, but nobody saw it." So he couldn't wait to get in and watch the film, but it was a pretty cool move for sure.
Wait, quick follow up on Bradley while we're on this topic. Correct me if I'm wrong, to my eyes, it looks like his play has picked up dramatically, I want to say, over the past month or so, maybe coinciding with Jalen's trade to Philly. First of all, am I off base? Second of all, what would go into play there?
Yeah, I think he's been consistent throughout the entire season. We had a little bit of adversity there early in the year with what went down with our outside backers coach. Sean Ryan admirably stepped in. And since we've had Bill Shuey step in as well, too, and help with some of that. Tried to put some of that on my plate, but was really just spread way too thin. So I think it's just a credit to him. Again, he's the consummate professional. And then from a coaching perspective, I think between Coach Ryan and Coach Shuey, I think they've been doing an outstanding job with those outside backers, just in terms of technique and fundamentals.
What have you thought about your run defense this season and then recently? It's kind of been up and down recently, right? With Buffalo, Washington, New Orleans, all season and recently. What have you thought about the run defense?
Yeah, early on, it was obviously very disappointing, but I understood the whys, right? Particularly with those young defensive linemen in particular, like they were just developing, and you could see it. It wasn't happening at the pace we would have all loved it to happen at, but you knew it was going to get there. And then I couldn't even tell the exact game when you saw it click, but it did. I think for us, I think it was probably Cleveland, right, where you saw them. All right, they're starting to get it. And as soon as that started to happen, that's when everything started to look like how we all wanted it to look. But there was a progress to getting there, and Coach, you guys know Coach Clark. All right, Coach Cotton, they're going to be relentless. So they're going to get there. But with all those young butts, it's just different in terms of timing. And then as a defense, we were growing as well, right? There's so many guys that either got here late, were young, So the vision of how we saw it as coaches, and then how they were digesting that and then trying to go out there and do it, we had to make sure we were all on the same page. Like, I can't, it's funny, you go back and watch that first Jets game now that we're getting ready to play the second one, and we don't even look like the same defense. And a lot of when the guys are watching it, some of the things they see, they're embarrassed by it. So that's when you know, like, hey, you're doing the right things. And we were always convicted in that. And the one thing, like, I'm incredibly proud of everybody is we never flinched, we never wavered, we never, like, lost faith. We just continued to keep chopping wood and knew eventually that tree would fall and we'd be where we wanted to be. So I think we're starting to see all the residuals of that now.
I don't know Bill Shuey. It says here he was with the Jaguars from 22 to
Yeah.
24. Was he with the team at the beginning of this
Yeah,
season?
no. So she was a late ad, and we were extremely fortunate that now I think he's on here as like a coaching consultant. I don't know exactly what his role is. I don't even know if he's on the website. But Bill's a guy. When I was in Baltimore, we interviewed him for the outside backers job, and I thought he did an outstanding job. So we were fortunate that he was on the street and still living in Jacksonville. So I made a call, after I talked to Mike and Brandon and everybody at the time, and just said, hey, we kind of need this ad. This would help us. And he was coaching his kids' flag football teams. So it was funny. It was during the Cleveland week. I think he got here on Friday. And he traveled to the game. Still didn't know much of the guys. Like, the guys were like, who the heck is this guy, right? And he had a locker when we were at the Brown Stadium, and Max McCaffrey goes up to Joe Cimino and is like, hey, I think there's some random guy in the locker room, because he didn't even know him yet. So yeah, he hasn't been here very long, 4 or 5 weeks, but his impact has been felt for sure.
We have a question about Dante Trader, who might be the best rookie of the rookie class, but
there's gonna be some guys that may disagree with that.
His snaps have gone down recently. Is that the shoulder? Is that other safeties playing better?
Yeah, no. Again, love trade, right? The cohesion right now we have with those 3 vets in the back end is strong. Those guys, because of their football acumen, they can correct a lot of things in real time. Where sometimes with rookies, there's a glitch there sometimes in the matrix where they get it, but there's just a little hitch. It just takes a little bit longer to process. Trader is a stud, right? And his FBI is high. There's just some of those things. He just needs more experience. So he's going to play. His numbers will vary from game to game. But we certainly haven't lost faith in him or Jason Marshall or any of those young bucks. Those guys are going to play a lot of football for us, and they're going to play a lot of meaningful football down the road. Right now, particularly with where we're at in the season, really backs against the wall, we just want to make sure the guys that are out there are experienced and are going to execute at a high level.
We asked Mike and Tua about Jordan Brooks' leadership yesterday. You've talked about that a bunch of times. So I guess the way I want to frame the question is, with the way he works, the way he prepares and brings guys along with him, how much easier does that make your job when you have a guy like Jordan Brooks?
It makes it a lot easier, just because I don't have to be the heavy all the time, right? I don't have to give guys that kind of kick in the butt to get them going, because I know JB will do it, right? Usually most of the things that I'm thinking or feeling, all of our leaders really, him, T-Dot, Zach Sealer, Chubb, they're usually all on the same page. So when you have that, I think that's why you can have the growth and resolve and perseverance through all these situations that we've had. But just as it pertains to Jordan in particular, like, absolute stud. I hope he starts to get some of the credit he deserves. To me, he's one of the top 2-3 linebackers in the league. And I wish we had more wins so the rest of the world would see that.
I wanted to ask you about Minka. Obviously, when he came here, some of the talk was that he was an aging safety. The position is not kind for guys losing speed, but he's made some impactful plays this season. And more importantly, when you had a need at nickel, he's filled in there. Where is he at this point in his career?
Yeah, I think he's very much at the top of the game. Aging safeties can't play nickel, right? And he's one of those guys where he doesn't dodge any smoke, right? Like he doesn't care who's out there, shifty, fast. He's gonna take pride in that and lock him down. And I don't know a lot of guys like that. You know, I was around Kyle Hamilton, right? He has a little bit of that in him. But Minka is an absolute stud, and quite frankly, I don't even know where we'd be at this point as a defense without him, just because of some of the injuries we've had, particularly in the back end. So I love him, man. I'm extremely fortunate that we have him, and I don't. The lack of speed thing, I certainly don't see. I like to tell Mink, like, he has selective speed, right? He's as fast as he needs to be when he needs to be it. And I think some of that's just where he's messing with quarterbacks and baiting them to make throws too. So he's a stud, man, and super glad he's here.
It looks like this is the first season since Minka's rookie season, when he was ironically with the Dolphins, that he's been logged as having more snaps at slot than free safety. PFF has 288 to 234. Do you view that as something that could remain the case throughout his career, where he actually plays as much or more in the slot?
Yeah. Usually as guys age, right, they start to move further back, right? He's one of those guys, just because he has such high FBI, knows how to play to his skill set regardless of opponent. I think he can play there as long as he wants, right? Even, you guys know Chuck Clark, right? Didn't have quite the movement skills as Minka, but there were times where he could play nickel too. Kareem Jackson was a guy that played nickel for us at Houston, and both Bama guys, right? But I think Minka probably moves a little bit better than him, but he's one of those guys where I wouldn't say there was anything he couldn't do, because if he puts his mind to it, he's going to get it done.
Speaking of selective speed, did you jump on the dog pile on Rasul after his interception for not taking it to the house, or did you leave that to the players?
Nah. I try to stay out of piles nowadays. You know, I'll never. We played when I was in Baltimore. We were playing the Rams, the LA Rams, and we won on a Tyron Wallace punt return, I think it was, for a touchdown. And I was running around celebrating, going crazy, and it took me about 15 minutes to catch my breath. So now I'm old school, like Michael Jordan, like fist in the air, stay still, you know, give a point. That's about all you're getting out of me. You're not gonna get a whole lot of movement anymore. Very rare, very rare.